when I'm looking at the comment sections of my videos or when I'm talking to people, it's of course evident that some challenges or problems seem to come up more than others. And one that really comes up quite a bit is the struggle that people seem to have with stabilizing their awakening, so to say. And this is quite understandable, but in my view, if we struggle with this stabilization, it's really more so the case that we have a kind of wrong assumption about what our essence is and how to integrate it into our lives. When people have this glimpse of their true nature, it really is amazingly liberating. There's this recognition that what we really are is not this limited, finite, contracted entity, but that our true nature rather is absolutely indefinable, open, awake, a total mystery, which nevertheless is totally obvious. It's the essence of everything we are aware of. And yes, of course, recognizing that is quite transformative. But at the same time, if we have this glimpse, then quite naturally, we don't just want to stay with the glimpse. We want this to, in a sense, stabilize in our lives, right? So, of course, I totally understand that for some people it's quite frustrating that they can't seem to do so. And let me suggest to you that this is not really a failure on your part. Because our true nature is totally dynamic, it's just the case that sometimes true nature seems totally obvious in what it is. Sometimes this aspect of our true nature of being open, uncontracted, unbounded can seem to come to the foreground. At other times, however, it's quite natural that the objectness, so to say, of the world comes more to the foreground. When that happens, it can seem like we have lost touch with our true nature. When we are out and about in the world, when we are interacting with people and objects, then of course this unbounded kind of quality of our true nature doesn't seem as palpable. But again, that is just what our true nature does. It is dynamic. It is a shapeshifter. It is constantly changing how it seems. So, what can we do so that our true nature is not just a kind of short glimpse, but also something that is always felt in a sense? If I think that recognizing my true nature is some kind of state that is here and different from the seeming outside world, then of course it will seem like I can't stabilize it, because naturally sometimes the seeming outside world will come into focus. And if I believe that that coming into focus is synonymous with me losing my true nature, then of course stabilization is doomed to fail. So what's necessary is to recognize that everything you assume to be the outside world, or everything you assume is some kind of distinct experience apart from your true nature, is your true nature in motion. What I'm talking about here is the recognition that the essence of every experience is just this indefinable true nature. This has to become obvious. This has to be recognized. I mean, it's already the case, right? This very experience you're having right now, that is this indefinable presence in motion, flowing. It's already so. You don't make this happen. You can only recognize it, wake up to it. And when this becomes clear, then this worry about losing the experience of your true nature or not being stabilized in your true nature, it quite naturally drops. Because when it is truly recognized that everything is this, that you can't lose this, then you don't have to worry about anything, so to say. You can be totally involved with the world, and still there is the sense that you are always at home, always in perfect safety, so to say. Because everything you are seemingly interacting with is this very essence of your being. And what inspired me to make this video is just the felt sense of it I had this morning. So when I go to my workplace, I have to step out at this very, very busy train station. And you could assume that because this experience is so flooded with impressions, that it would be quite easy to lose the stability in true nature. Because there's so much going on. There are all these announcements, all these people, so many just sense impressions raining down upon you, that it could be quite easy to become distracted and lost in these experiences. But when it's obvious that everything you are experiencing, all this turmoil, is just this presence of your being, is just true nature in motion, then there's always this sense of wholeness. There's always this feeling, relatively speaking, that all of this is true nature. And even though you can, of course, distinguish the world on a relative level, and you can see that seemingly there are different people and objects, there still is this felt sense of completeness, of being home, so to say. And that just becomes obvious, no matter what the circumstances are. So essentially what I'm saying is that you shouldn't leave it at just the recognition of presence in of itself. But it has to include, this recognition has to include that every seeming experience of something other than presence is also just presence. Every seeming experience is just shining with the presence of it. And this is always the case, no matter how mundane your experience might seem right now. It's shining with the presence, this very presence I'm speaking about. So recognize it, feel it, taste the freedom that is inherent in every experience. And when this becomes obvious, then the question of stabilization becomes irrelevant, so to say, because it's already stabilized fully. And no matter what you experience, it is this fully stabilized reality. So recognize that and enjoy it.